Hello, everybody. Pleasure to be here, and welcome to our distinguished and super successful women leaders here. Let me briefly introduce you to them, starting with Aide. She's the head of corporate sustainability for Mexico and Latin America for HSBC. She's the co-president of the executive board of Chapter Zero Mexico. More than 20 years of experience in the financial services area, human resources, audit, corresponding banking, credit, global banking. And now she's moved to one of the most important areas for the planet today, corporate sustainability. Thank you, Heidi, for being here.
Thank you for having me, and I have a pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you.
Next is Nancy Romo. She's the Deputy Director of IT Development at Zurich. More than 25 years of experience in the areas of consulting, IT, and sales in various companies. Extensive experience in managing projects mainly in the financial and IT sectors. And she's currently part of the Operations and Information Technology team at Zurich, Mexico, responsible for application development and maintenance for the lines of business within Zurich, general insurance and life. So welcome, Nancy.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm really, really excited to be in this forum, and thank you, Capgemini, for this invite. And also honored with these successful women. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, I'll go to Aide Contreras, Mexico Head of City Technology Infrastructure at Citibanamex. So, if you notice, we have women from the financial services sector, IT. So if you know that Zurich is running or Citibanamex is running, or it's because of these two women, okay? You're getting your money there. So Aide, 18 plus years of remarkable experience in IT, in the IT industry, transformation leader, technology strategy, and organization change. She's responsible for the delivery of all IT infrastructure and related IT operations that are used to that enable business success and services across Citibanamex. And she's ensuring that the strategy is fully aligned to deliver compelling business value. So, and additionally, Aide is a Citibanamex Women Council co-chair president, an active sponsor of several diversity, inclusion, and talent agenda initiatives.
Thank you. So it's a pleasure to be with you this morning, and honored to be sharing this panel with the rest of you.
Finally, Martha Cuevas, LATAM Channel Sales Director at Google Cloud. Mm-hmm. And she's very dynamic. I had the opportunity to speak with all of them before as we were waiting for this to start, and I can tell you they were all very dynamic women. She's known for her passion and partners and building high-performance teams across Latin America. In November 2019, she joined the Google Cloud as Partner Sales Director for Latin America, and whose main objective as a leader is to develop strong partner ecosystem in the region. So prior to Google, Martha worked at Microsoft and Oracle, bringing more than 25 years in the IT industry, where she led sales and partner organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Renata. Thank you, Cap, for the invitation, Capgemini. And as you mentioned, I'm honored to be on this panel with this amazing woman.
And I'm more honored than anybody else, okay, to have these wonderful women around with me here today. So I'm sure you all want to know, and I want to as well, on what made them successful, really, and especially today when we talk about not enough women in STEM, they're not enough taking up, going up to senior positions, not embracing technology. I think it will be good for all of us to understand what really made these women successful and what can we learn from all of them. May I start with you, Aide?
Absolutely, thank you. So it's a great question. I think it's a combination of many things, right, and many aspects during the career. In the first place, I would say I'm fortunate to be rounded for the right team in every single step of my career. And one of the key aspects that I always try to, remember every time is that you need to bring talent surrounding you. And that is from one side, one of the aspects that create that leadership. The other one that I have truly believe is having great mentoring and sponsorship during that career. So it's something that we create a lot of networking environment across the organizations, and we try to tend, several times to don't focus and believe on that, but really mentoring and sponsorship are great, I will say, tools for us to continue developing our careers. And then I will say more on the personal side. I'm very focused person on purpose, how the way I drive my my career, personal development. I really focus myself on, the way or the target we have to transform. In this case, for the last 8 years, at least on my experience, that I have the opportunity to, perform several roles on that aspect. But I really, in the technology side, it's a really challenge for, women in diversity over the past 20 years, I would say, at least. And never blink, right? I would say that having that purpose and making sure that you have a vision, different vision. In my personal experience, I am economist by degree, right? I have an MBA and some other specific, focus on design thinking, innovation. And the focus on technology for women was at the beginning like, oh, so first women with unique women in the room. It was like, you feel really challenging yourself. And I really enjoy challenge. I really enjoy challenge, and I really like to be, I would say, breaking down barriers. And trying to, get an open, I would say, open the way for many other women on the way. And that has been one of the crucial aspects from my side, to enjoy what I do. I love what I do. I enjoy what I do as well. That is one of the key successful thinkings I have as well. If you don't do what you really enjoy, it's better to change, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's difficult to inspire others on the day-to-day basis.
Thank you. I think that's exactly what I believe. And you need to have the passion for your job. And once you have the passion and the excitement, I think things automatically, you do well in it. So let me go to the other ideas. So what do you think? Do you believe in the same things?
I totally agree on what Aide was mentioning, because at the end, the first thing is you have to do is not try to be like another leader. Is stay true to yourself. I think that's the first key, and for me has worked a lot, because at the end, men and women, we bring different types of leadership. And there is not a list of what a leader should be doing exactly. I think you need to follow the steps of the person you admire, because at the end, when you start working, you start to look about the top people that are working in the bank or in any other institution, and you say, this is something that I like, this is something that relates to me, to my personality. So work on that, and I think that's the path we have to follow. The other thing I think is the resilience, because at the end, if you're resilient, I think this is something that will help you through any difficulty you may find in the office, in some task that you are assigned. And the other thing is, and I do agree with Aide completely, is you have to be motivated on what you do. Because if not, you won't bring the special part of you to that role. Because at the end, roles, they have certain profile that you have to comply with, and certain qualifications. But at the end, what makes different a person in terms of leadership is the new things and the things that make their leadership different. At the end, I think that those are the main issues that not only a woman, I think everybody will have to follow. Because at the end, I think about the new generation, and I think about the people that came after me or before me on the role, will come after me, I'm sorry. I think I want to leave something for people to remember me. Not because I was the one who did the profit for the bank. I'm not the one who brought the most clients. I want to be the person that wanted to transform the company. I think that's something that we need to look into. And now that I'm in sustainability, my background is as a banker. I used to be in global banking and covering multinational clients. And I think that I was really, really, really in love with what I was doing, because I studied foreign affairs, and I was very lucky to be doing what I studied for. But now that I'm here, working in sustainability, it's my responsibility to tell people and guide people to learn that we can do business, we can still do business in a sustainable way. So at the end, things that inspire me every day is to make a difference. So I think that those are the type of things that men and women, we have to follow. Be true to yourself. Don't compare yourself to others, because at the end, it's complement what the others are doing with what you want to do in the future.
Thank you. That is so inspiring. And I think with your work on sustainability, for sure you will leave a mark behind. You know, that is a lasting legacy there.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you for that. So, Nancy, what's your view? Do you believe in the similar things? I mean, did you have a role model? Did you...
Yes, totally agree with my colleagues. You have to be, you have to like what you are doing. So you are going to put passion, and you are going to be motivated, and you are going to motivate your team. Of course, I believe in if you have a good team, everything can do, everything you can realize, everything you can accomplish. And then when you are accomplished, then look for a new challenge. No? I think that every time we have to look for new challenge, to move on, not stay, move on. Of course, I'm agree with the resilience. I think the women, we are very resilient, and that help us to move in this world that is changing, but it's hard sometimes, no? Of course, of course, to have success in life, you have to have a balance, have a family, have a partner that you can share all your things. You're successful. You can only, I think, that you can not only be a worker. You have to have a balance in your life. Our hobbies, how many things that complement and gives you all the passion, all the strength that you need to go on.
Thank you, Nancy. I hear you echo some of the same topics there, having the right team, being resilient, and having the support. So thank you there. Martha, finally.
Well, I think that everybody, all of us think the same. No? I think that we already talk about networking, talk about mentoring, talk about resilience. That is super important. And I completely agree with Nancy, because for me, one of my biggest achievements, but also the biggest challenge, is talking about work and life balance. No? And I think that if I have been success is because I have been very clear what are my priorities. No? My priorities for me will always be my family first. I love my professional. I have been very successful, but when I have to advise the team how to do it, I always say two things. One is think about your priorities and keep them super clear. You know? So for me, a priority was, for example, to be at home when I have to leave my kid to the school, for example, and coming back, just to have like some quality time with him. No? So I can work a lot of hours, but for me, that 2 hours of the day was a priority. No? So I think that is one. And the second is, don't be afraid to say no. Yeah. As a woman, I think that we tend to be afraid of saying, no, I will not do it right now, I can do it another time. Or even, no, sometimes I have to reject a position because I say it's not the right moment. So I think that focus not in the short term, focus on the long term of your career, no? And don't be afraid of saying no now. No, I can do it maybe later, and you have to negotiate a lot, no? But for me, that's the advice that I would give.
Thank you, Martha. I see a lot of common threads between what you all said, and I hope the audience takes away some of that thing, you know. If I have to just pick 4 points of what you said, one was around having the purpose, you know, and the vision, and you talked about it in terms of priorities, so to be absolutely clear about what you want to do. The second I heard was about having the right team, and I think sometimes it's not by accident. You have to build the right team around you, so I think that was a good theme that I heard. Don't be afraid to say no, and then to be true to yourself. Not to copy somebody else. You can have the role models, but be true to yourself and what you want to do. So some excellent points out there from all of you. I'd like to just take, Martha, you started to talk about work-life balance at the end there, and making the right choices and being flexible to be able to do what you have to, not neglect work, but still have the time to focus on your family when you need to, not work a strict 9-to-5 job, right? I'd like to focus on that a little bit now, because in the last 2 years, we've had, now we've had the big pandemic, and there's been an unprecedented level of change in our society, in our organizations, in our personal lives as well. And I remember in 2020, Bill Gates had said that in 2 months of the pandemic, in the beginning, we saw more transformation, especially digital transformation, than we saw in the last 20 years, which is, I think, a very telling statement to say that we've all been forced to adapt and really transform heavily. And a lot of that has been enabled by technology within organizations. So the question for me, for all of you is, what really do you believe that the women, what leadership qualities were required to make this change happen? In our organizations, to move to, a hybrid model, to drive the change. Customer, suddenly you cannot see your customer. You used to see your customer in front of you, and suddenly you don't see him anymore, right? Yeah, and so it means that whatever you imagined as the model of working has changed. Okay? So how do you think, first of all, at a broad level, how did you find that teams coped with it? And in particular, women, how do you believe they coped with it, and what leadership challenges were required? I'll start with you, Martha.
Thank you, Rena. I think that one that we already talked is about resilience.
Yeah.
Resilience. So I think that this was, because it's not only on the job, no? You have your family to support, no? Men and women, we need to support all these challenges that we have, no? Talking about mental health, talking about a lot of things, no? So for me, one of the things, as I mentioned, is having the priority clear, no? And understanding that it was not okay, no? That even you are at home, you need to work 24 hours, no? You need to have like the space for your family and a space for work. I think that other thing that make a success is to dedicate time to your team. And in this time, for example, I dedicate more time, listen to them, and understanding and being emphatic on what they were passing through, because you have different people, no? You have people that it was like 40 meters, no? in a building with 3 kids, and so he was very stressed about that. And you have other ones that maybe they weren't happy with, because, so I spent a lot of time emphasizing and listen to the team and understanding what they need and giving advice, no? How to have this right balance. The other thing that was very, very important is the cross collaboration. Think that staying connected, even if you were at your home, staying connected with different people of the organization, with the partners, with the customer, was very, very important, no? And also challenge the team to develop themselves in other parts. No, it's not only on the professional, so what are you doing to keep safe? What are you doing to keep your mental health? So giving advice and work a lot in their development as a career, but also on the personal side. So I could talk about that. That for me was a priority on this time.
Thank you, Martha. So you talked about empathy, which I think everybody now recognizes that, especially in the last 2 years, it's one of the most important qualities that one needed to survive this and to be able to sensitive to other people. So Aide, what leadership qualities did you see in your team, or that you personally used in order to survive or really thrive during the pandemic? People talk a lot about authentic leadership. So what's your view on that?
Yeah, and I think you say something that is very relevant, authentic leadership, right? Being ourselves. And I really believe that this pandemic show us different opportunities on how to lead in a different ways. I think from one side, to me, and what it means to me, right? I try to be very creative, have a lot of self-awareness, right? Sometimes I think as leaders, so we need to acknowledge who we are, what we bring to the table, and how we can just help others. Because at the same time, being empathetic and trying to understand how others are feeling is very important. One of the aspects that to me is really crucial, not just during the pandemic, I think the way I try to leader, through my career is humanity. And that humanity means that you can, create that synergy, that communication, but as well that you truly cares about people. And that really connects, right? So when you are observing, and through pandemic, I think we all live with many aspects where, you have the conference when we start having Zooms and, kids passing all across for the ones who we have kids, or even, whoever is at home with you. And for us, the people many times feel very nervous at the beginning, right? And we need to just create that calm and say, hey, we are suffering, we are going through the same. So caring about people, helping them developing through this situation, and us growing together, I think is very, very important. And when I say creativity, it's because developing people, or even yourself, through pandemic and in video, versus having that connection, interaction in a personal way, or even person by person, I think is really important as well, right? So we need to find out different ways. I used to have, normally when we started with the pandemic, we established like a weekly sessions and checkpoints with the team, trying to hear about what the thoughts are, what the feelings, how we can, help specific people who were facing some of the COVID situation with, for them or families. And then, hearing people, but really be caring about them, because you are really feeling that, what they are facing is fundamental.
Yeah.
So for me, that's part of the successful way to how to deal with that over this situation. Yeah.
Thank you, Ede. Nancy, what did you observe in your teams during this time of change? I mean, and how did you manage that?
First, it was to adapt to a new way of working. We were a company that worked on site every day. We start to think about flex work, and then we have to do it as soon as possible from one day to another. So we lost the physical contact that helps as a leader to see how, if someone is worried, sad, tired, whatever. And so we have at the beginning more meetings to talk about how are you doing. How you feel? How is your family? Do you have a place to work? Because as Aide said, you have a meeting and then you hear everything. The kid is crying, or I don't know, many people, and people were worried about the work, worried about if they are doing well. So we have meetings to talk about how they are doing, how is the family doing with this, if we can share experience, like, okay, I decided to put my desk in this part of the house, and then I put like, this is my office, please don't go anywhere here, many things about that. So we share experiences. Also, we try to say that if you need something, if you need in this time to talk to someone, we can help each other, and like a partners, no? I am having some trouble, so okay, let's talk about, if you don't want to talk with me, well, okay, we say some circle of partners to talk, to share experiences. There was some anecdote that this is not very good, but there were in Mexico beer out. Some guys in my team that were really worried about they don't have beer for the weekend. So someone else says, I found a link that you can have it. So these kind of things that you say, this is not working, but at least they help each other, no? It was also with food. Some people begin to sell food at home, so you don't have to be worried that you have to do the meal and also work. These kind of things help to us to work in a different way. It was very important that people feel that we still a team and we care for each other. More than you have to do your work and give results. No, that's, I think, that help us.
Very interesting. I just have to share that I had a call with some of the women from Capgemini. I think they are in this room here, and it was a long call, and then child crying in the background, and one of the women said, okay, I'm going to bring my baby, sit in the lap and then talk. And then everybody, there were 5 women on that call, and everybody said, oh, we have to show our babies too. And then suddenly we had a call, it was mamas and babies, and I'm...
Yeah.
Yes, something that you never know that you will do, no?
Exactly.
Share your meeting with your kids.
Kids, yeah, it is. But I can tell you it really relaxed them, I think. So that was a good experience for me. In your area again, what changes did you see during this last 2 years, transformation, and what leadership skills did you find you had to draw on?
The first change, of course, it was me, because I took this role during the pandemic.
Oh.
And I think one of the things that I saw, and I think like an analysis of these last 2 years, is that we really learned the true meaning of trust, empathy, and setting limits. Because at the end, as you guys were mentioning, I mean, we had work and home and husband and mom and dad, everything was happening at home, so you were invading in some way, and everybody was like actually losing their patience because, you know, my husband was on the other side, you know, having meetings, I was here, and then my daughter. So I think trust for me became something really important, because now with technology, we learned that some companies were really prepared, some companies were not really prepared. So starting to use Zoom when you were like, you know, like hitting the button, is like, oh my God, now I have like a dog face or something like that. You were so stressed. Instead of having a background, you have I don't know, a piggy face or something like that. So at the end is you need to relax. So this is talking about trust, talking about, you know what, this is what we have now, so we have to cope with what we have. So that's in terms of trust, and of course with the team. Because at the end, in the past, when you are in the office, you know that people are in the office, that they came in and they are working and they're, you know, like doing some things, they're working around. But now it's impossible to know if they go to the office, so you have to trust. You have to trust them, and they have to trust you, that you have your best interest on them. So that's the first thing. The other one, in terms of empathy, I think all of you discussed that, because when you are in the office, you tend to bring your perfect self. You try to be, you know, very open, very thinking out of the box, you know, fixing the problems. But when you have maybe your child crying because she wants the paper and she wants the pencil, and you are like with your boss trying to be, you know, very centered.
Perfect.
I think that, I mean, you need to have this empathy to understand that, you know what, give me 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back strong, no? So we have to be very emphatic on that. And the other one is the limits, because at the end, I'm certain that we all suffer. We are back-to-back in Zooms. So sometimes you need to say, you know what, instead of having 1 hour in a meeting, just cut it to 45 minutes and, you know, stretch, go take a coffee, as we did at the office. Because at the office, what we did is, you know what, I need a break, I need to get a coffee, I need some gossip from the office, you know, let me go and talk to my neighbors. So I think we need a break. We need to set up limits. So I think those are the 3 things that we learn. And from those learnings, from those things, I think as a team, what we have to do is to make room for the team, to have exchanges, to have open dialogues in terms of saying, you know what, today I don't feel good, I don't want to work because it's too much. This is too much for me. My mental health, as you was saying, Aide, it's very important, because sometimes it's like, I don't want to do anything. So if you have this space where your coworkers can tell you, I'm not my 100% today, I'm not going to be able to deliver with the quality that I want to deliver, we need to give the space to our coworkers. So I think that's something very important. And for us also, because sometimes when you are a leader, we ask too much sometimes from ourselves, and we don't give these breaks. So I think if we apply these 3 things that I just said for ourselves also, I think we can become better leaders, not just today, but for the future. And this is something, if we do, you were saying something that is really important for me, legacy.
Yeah.
Because at the end, if I teach my team, my daughter, my colleagues, my friends, that it's okay to fail, it's okay to say, I'm not feeling well today, is part of the success. Because as I said at the beginning and the other question, be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And be humble and say, you know what, I make mistakes, but when I fail, when I get up stronger.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's very true. And I was reading, someone told me that it's okay not to be okay at times. So I think very important lessons there, that, you know, around building a trusting environment within an organization, to demonstrate empathy and to be true to oneself. I think that really, to me, it sums up in a very simple way authentic leadership that everyone needs to imbibe. Thank you for that. And I'd like to round up with one question finally, which is to say that we've been talking about improving the percentage of women at leadership for the last 10 years. And I think we've made progress, but not enough in my view. We need to do a lot more. So I'd quickly like to go around the room and I'd like you all to comment on what should we do? I mean, we're all doing something individually, collectively. What should we do differently? And what is the role that you see that even the men in the organization have to play? You know, maybe I should have invited a man here to this panel, you know, to hear another point of view. But, you know, quickly, you know, what do you think? We can start with you.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So, you know, first of all, we have to acknowledge there is still a gap. I think we have been, you know, look at entire organizations coming in and working on that for the last 20 years or more, 25 years or more. But I really think, and we have to look at, you know, each organization, the initiatives and everything we are managing to make, you know, some of the diversity gap. And it's not just diversity, right? It's just making sure that right talent is in the organization to drive, you know, what we are trying to make together. But I think it's from one side is acknowledgement. For second side is preparing the leadership, because we have to prepare, you know, leaders for the helping others on the way up and making sure that we create those spaces. There are several initiatives that we can mention about, you know, helping other women. You mentioned at the beginning on my profile. So I'm working now and supporting the Women Council internally at City Banamex, right? And there is a list of things that we have to do to make sure that, you know, women feel more confident to speak up, to take, you know, higher roles. And we were asking ourselves sometimes, you know, we have some senior positions and why women are not really posting to them. And, you know, when you look back and just have one-on-one conversation, you realize that, you know, many times it's because we need to, you know, break down some bias on feeling perfect, right? And many times we feel that we don't need to be vulnerable because then something is going to happen. And I think it's the opposite side, right? So we have to acknowledge what is, as a female, what we are bringing to the table, because we have, of course, different, I would say, you know, capabilities to show and skills, you know, to complement men, of course. And it's just on top of diversity. I think we have to look at affinities and, you know, other spaces where it's not just, you know, gender that matters. Right, entire diversity and inclusion really matters to create the focus. And something when you know, were asking about transformation, I was thinking about and say, well, that is what really happened, right? So over the past years, so we have bring in more diverse tables and, you know, senior people in positions who have different point of views. But in parallel, we have to understand the customers. Yeah. And if we don't have that diversity in your table to take decisions, then how you can just take the best decisions for the customers? Yeah. And I think that is a part of what we have been, you know, trying to deal with. And from my perspective, we have to be very committed to help others on the way, you know, up. But as well, you know, working together to make sure that that gap is really reducing. I think there is reducing, there is a lot of work done, but there are aspects that we have still to work a lot in, you know, all across the industries, of course, especially in technology, I would say. That side is still, we have progress and looking for some progress in other spaces, but in technology, I think we have to continue encouraging that from the, from the beginning for other women taking schools of degrees and showing that there are opportunities on that field as well.
Thank you. Martha?
Thank you, Runa. I think that completely agree, because, and I think that multiple researches show that diversity is a must right now. No, it talks about different contexts, different characteristics that you bring, and and companies that have this kind of diversity always take better decisions and have more innovative ways of solve problems, no? And this is also important for customer, because when you have all these contexts, you have better way to help them on their digital transformation journey, no? But still in Mexico, I think that we have a problem. Only 1 of 10 women pursued a STEM or a technology career. So that's a big challenge that we have. And when you are talking about leadership, only less than 20% of the leadership team is women, no? So we have a big challenge. And I think that one is networking. I think that when women get together, you have a very powerful platform talking about resilience, talking about all the knowledge that we have and this combination. But we are not very good at creating this network and keep this network moving forward, no? Because we have other priorities. So for me, something that we should do as a leadership is really work on this networking. And for example, Google has very interesting programs. Now I have been participating in some of them that is super important. One is Women at Google. And this is a mentoring program that you do with university or college women. No? And it's very interesting because it's your time that you are dedicating, and you are not talking only about your journey, because normally they say, oh, it's a long time, no, to get there. You're talking about them, okay? So how can I get my first job? How can I, and we make like role plays, no? Or how to interview, for example, no? But it's super nice when you get the call saying, I got the job, no? So that is important, and always saying you can do it. No? Everyone can do it. So that is super important. We have something that it's a day program that I really love it, because it talks about not only the importance about women, it talks about the diversity, the importance of diversity, but also gave you some trainings, no? And some on the job, as I was mentioned, to build, to bring those talents, to build it and keep it in your team, no? And really know how to develop all these talents in your team. So I think that this is super important.
Thank you, Martha. Those are really good initiatives that you're taking up. Nancy?
I'm going to be short. I think that mentoring and sharing all the experiences to the women that work with us is the first time. And we have to work with the children, since they are little girls that say that everything can be possible and they can do whatever they want if they fight and study and go for it.
Perfect.
I think I'm going to close up with saying that I agree there is a gap in gender equality, but at the end, the ones that we already have the forum, that we already are leaders as women, I think we need to make sure that we coach, we mentor, and we sponsor the women that want to raise their hand. Because at the end, not all of us are good talking to people, not all of us are good to leading people, but at the end, I know, as Martha was saying, I have a network that can support you. So at the end, I think that we have the stage right now. There is a lot of things that have to be done in terms of gender equity, but at the end is we start to work. We need to start working on what we have right now and take advantage of these positions that we have to start leading other women and making sure that no one is left behind.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ade. Those are all, I've enjoyed the conversation and to listen to your suggestions. And I'm sure that each of you will do even better and scale greater heights, and also be role models for other young aspiring leaders in this country. And all I can say to conclude is that you have some great ideas here. I hope you do take them forward. And for those in the audience, I would say sky's the limit. When I hear them, sky's the limit. Dare to dream and dare to pursue that dream. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.